The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. In those days, before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage up to the day that Noah entered the ark. They did not know until the flood came and carried them all away. So will it be also at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be out in the field, one will be taken, one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, and one will be left. Therefore, stay awake, for you do not know on which day your Lord will come. Be sure of this, if the master of the house had known the hour of night when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not let his house be broken into. So too, you also must be prepared, for an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Oh, be prepared, 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 the motto of a true scout. Oh, be prepared, 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 the motto of a scout. Prepared, prepared. It goes on. Like that. The idea is that you will be prepared. And I sang that song lustily as a Boy Scout at Troop 9 at St. Joseph's Church in Malden, Massachusetts. And we sang it in many places. Along hikes where we would be going and didn't have anything else to do, we'd start singing that song, or around a campfire, be prepared. And what was the idea? That we would be prepared as scouts to do whatever was necessary. Maybe it meant learning how to cook a hamburger so you could feed the troops as they gathered around on a campsite, or that you would wear good strong shoes when you walked, and walked facing the traffic if you happened to be in traffic. All of these things you were to be prepared. Or be prepared to take care of somebody who might just happen to walk into your life and needed help in some way or another. Be prepared. And that's what Advent is all about. Being prepared for the coming of Jesus at Christmas time in the Incarnation, and also to be prepared for the coming of Jesus. We read today in Matthew's Gospel, because we will be reading all year long about Matthew's Gospel. We will be learning from Matthew. This is year A, the year of Matthew. Matthew is the writer who wrote for the Jewish people. He wrote sometime, probably 50 years or so, after the resurrection of Jesus. And his work was to help the people who were the Jewish people, the people of God, to understand who Jesus was, and to help the people understand, too, that those who were not Jewish by birth could also follow Jesus and be saved. And so we hear or listen to Matthew all this year. The church gives us a good bit of Matthew to help us understand how the Jewish people particularly should be, and we're called to be, followers of Jesus, just as we who are the Gentile people also are called to follow Jesus, to be prepared for his coming. And Matthew, because he was writing for the Jewish people, is one of the evangelist who leads us particularly in the direction of the prophets. He explains to the people of God what the prophets had and what they meant to all of the people of God. And so the first reading today, not unlikely, is from the prophet Isaiah. And what is it that Isaiah says to the people? Isaiah says, "In days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the highest mountain and raised above the hills." What is Isaiah saying? Basically, he's saying to us, we must be prepared for living with God. The mountain is a metaphor for God's presence in our lives. And so Isaiah is saying to the people, you want to climb up the mountain. You want to be in God's presence. That's where joy will come into your lives. So Matthew leads us to Isaiah. Isaiah leads us back to preparation and to climbing the mountain of God, climbing the life of God with Jesus. That's what this Advent season can and should be about for us. Then in the gospel, Matthew takes us to one of the sayings of Jesus, where Jesus says to the people gathered around him at the time that the people of God will find that at a certain point the Lord will come and there will be two men, he says, out in the field. One will be taken and one will be left. Two women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken and one will be left. Therefore, stay awake, for you do not know on which day your Lord will come. Jesus trying to frighten the daylights out of us? Not really. But what he is telling us is that it is important for us to be prepared. Be prepared for the coming of the Lord, because there will come a day when those who have been faithful to the Lord will be taken up, and those who have not will be left aside. Two will be doing something, one taken, one left. Two women will be doing something, one taken, one left. It is important for us to be prepared, to live the life of Jesus. That means that during Advent, we need to stop and reflect a little bit about what's going on in our lives. You know, as Americans, we are very future-oriented. You know, young couples bring babies here to be baptized, which is a wonderful gift to all of us. And I hear them talking about where they're going to send these little people to college. I'm like, give me a break. You know, the child has hardly been born and you're already figuring out whether they're going to go to Notre Dame or MSU. Give me a break. And how are we going to pay for that? You know, when they start laying money aside. Or somebody is just hired, fresh out of college, just hired. What's the first thing they're thinking about? Retirement. What? They're worried about retirement. I'm like, is the company going to pay me or am I going to have to do a 401k? We're always thinking into the future. What is insurance? Thinking into the future. Are we loaded up on insurance? You bet we are. The people of Jesus' time were more like now. They lived now. And we need to live now too for the future. We need to reflect about who Jesus is. Maybe we take the leaflet that's being passed out today, the little book of Advent readings, and maybe we follow that day by day, trying to reflect upon what other people have said about Advent. Maybe we think about the poor and their needs in particular during this month. Maybe we take a star from the tree of giving and bring that into our everyday Christian lives. We have a mountain to climb, and that climb is to bring us to God. Advent is a metaphor for our life as Christians. It is a time of preparation, a time to think again about what it means to be a Christian. And when we have done that, then we have truly heard what Jesus tells us: stay awake. And we have also learned to be prepared.